Sakta Bava basra that pay beis amar aleph, 5 lines from the top, starting with the words higdilu. In the Mishnah we learned higdilu lo yishapa, that if the branch has grown and covered over the karka of the moicha, and it holds, and it's damaging, that it doesn't allow the karka under the branches to grow because it has no sun. Lo yishapa, the seller cannot cut it. And then the Mishnah continued, those branches that grow from the trunk of the tree, those belong to the loikeach, and those growths that grow from the roots of the karka belongs to the meicha. So frankly, what is the gather of minageza? What is the gather of the branches growing from the trunk? And what is the gather of the branches or growths growing minasharashim from the roots? From where is it considered as the trunk of the tree, and from where is it considered as the root of the tree? Meaning from under the ground. Anything that sees the sun, that means any part of the tree that's above the karka, that's considered as from the trunk. And any part of the tree that's under the karka, that the new growth that comes out belongs to the bala karka if it's in the ground. Let it be concerned, because we're saying no matter how low it is to the ground, as long as it's above the ground, it belongs to the meicha, it belongs to the buyer. Let us be concerned. Let us be concerned that the karka will be elevated from a pile of dirt and mud, and it'll cover over those branches that are really above the karka, and it'll seem like that it's a second growth and a third growth. It'll seem like there's 3 trees in this the right distance to call it Zdei Ilan, that he should be up to Taina, that it says Zdei Ilan, and he should be up to be Kaina, the karka under the Ilan and around it and between the trees. Vamalei, let the Bala Ilan, the owner of the buyer of the tree, say to the owner of the karka, meaning he'll Taina the sheker, Tlasas Avintali, the Isli Yara, you sold me 3 trees as Zdei Ilan, and I officially had acquired the karka under these trees. So since we can come to such a problem that the bala karka can come to a law shalekadin, we should not pass in this way. We shouldn't say, even no matter how low it is above the karka, it should still belong to the buyer. We should worry that maybe the mud will accumulate and cover it, and it'll look like a Zdeilan, and the lekeach will be stealing the karka, and by turning falsely that it says Zdeilan, it's a field of 3 trees. Rav Nachman said, Yaakov, the kavanah of the Mishnah is, any growth that grows from the trunk of the tree belongs to the owner of the tree. But he has to cut those that are too close to the ground, of course. He has to cut those branches that come out of the trunk of the tree. Rav Nachman, the Kitinon, we accept it from our rabbis that a date tree doesn't have a trunk. So Rav Zid thought to say that the pirush of Rav Nachman is that somebody who bought 1 date tree and he automatically doesn't get the karka under the tree. So the baladekel, the owner of the date tree, is not cleaning those growths that come out from the side of the trunk tree, the side of the trunk of the date tree. Like a lekeach is normally cleaning the branches that come out of the trunk tree. Why? Since the date tree is bound to be uprooted when it dries up, so if the baila, the owner of the tree, cannot replace it with another tree, he for sure never had in mind to be kinda those branches that will come out of the trunk, because he's always concerned that the deck of the date tree will die before it even has a chance of having branches coming out of the trunk. Sagt die Gemara, fragt die Gemara, Maske v'lo, Rapapa ist der Kasha, v'ha koyin shnei ilones, da'irav al mishnah, but again, one who buys two ilones, and it includes, it says all trees. It doesn't say dafka, certain trees are not to call them all trees. That we're there, it's bound to be uprooted when it dries. And the lekeich is not kind of the karka, and he's not allowed to plant if it dries up in its place another tree. But Kataria, we learned the yesh lo yeza, that the lekeich does get the branches that come out of the trunk, and which includes even by dekel. And we said in the Mishnah, dekel ein lo yeza, by a dekel tree ein lo yeza, or ein lo yeza lebala dekel, that the owner of the date tree doesn't get the growths that grow out of the trunk. Rather, our Papa said, "Ein loy gezel bal dekel," that the owner of the tree doesn't get the branches that come out. The owner of the date tree doesn't get the branches that come out of the trunk, not because the reason, not because the dekel is oimed lihi oker, that it's bound to be uprooted more than other trees, like Rav Zvit said, because that we saw in the Mishnah, he wasn't mechalik. Rather, the difference is, says our Papa, the reason is lefishein moitzi geza, because it's not a derech for a date tree to give off branches from the trunk like all other trees. Its growth is all the way on the top of the tree. Okay, says the Gemara. According to Avzid, who says that dekel is considered as a regular tree, that it's the derech, that it gives off branches from its trunk. Kasha masnisin is a kasha from our Mishnah, because for sure our Mishnah is talking about all type of ilonis, and it says that the gidulim belong to the buyer, and according to Avzid, even dekel is included in the Mishnah. That it belongs. So if dekel is included in the Mishnah, so then the dekel should belong to the Bala, and this is in contradiction to the Eirav Rav Nachman that says that the Bala dekel doesn't get the branches that grow out of the trunk tree. And according to Avzid, our Mishnah is talking about the Zav Lechamishanin. Why is dekel included? That the branches do belong to him, because the Lakeya bought the schus of these trees for 5 years. So in such a case, even if he bought a dekel, he's not going to be. We're going back to the first time. He's usually masir daita. He takes his mind off. He doesn't think he's ever going to have the branches coming out of the trunk of the tree, because before he gets a chance, it'll dry up. But if he bought it for 5 years, that area that he could even replace the tree up to 5 years. So even though sometimes it could dry up before the branches come out of its trunk, but nevertheless, Lekeich has in mind that in the 5 years, if it's not this tree, I'll have branches going out of the trunk of another tree. Because up to 5 years, for sure, I'll have some branches coming out of a trunk of the tree, and therefore he had that in mind to be kind of that. And that's why in the Mishnah we learned that even by a dekel tree, which is included, that the branches belong to the Bala Ilah. But normally, if he didn't buy it for 5 years, then the halacha would be that he's not cutting the branches of the trunk of the tree, because it's not oilal daita. He thinks that it's going to dry up before the branches will grow from the trunk of the tree. We learned to the Mishnah karka that if he bought 3 trees, that becomes a steila, and automatically he's cutting the karka. Says the Gemara, how much karka is he cutting? Rabbi Yechnen. Rabbi said the name of Rabbi Yechnen is a kana. He's cutting the karka tachteya, right under the root, right under the ik of the tree, and under the branch of the tree. And the karka which is between the branch of one tree to the end of the branch of the other tree, and also outside the area. How much? To be able to go with a basket in his hand around the branches of the tree in order to be malaka the payers there. Mas give Lord Rabbi Lazar is the kasha on the head of Rabbi Yochanan. Hash the derechin loi. Since we know when a person buys trees, he doesn't get it together with the path. The Baal Ilanis doesn't get it together with the path to be able to go through the field of the seller to reach his trees. The Arachita because that path is a karka that belongs to another person, meaning the Makmei Lanes, when it was sold, is not part of the field of the Meicha, so therefore he has to buy it. The Meicha is not being marked until the Lekech automatically a path to go to them. So since even a path, which is something that's really, really needed, how is he going to get to his trees to maintain them? He has to fly. That's not shaykh. And nevertheless, even though it's something that he needs so badly, nevertheless we say he has to buy it from the seller. So should he have automatically the space outside his trees enough to be able to go with a basket to collect the paydays? That's not a davar hechrachi. He could go up on the tree and start cutting off the paydays and put it in the basket. He doesn't have to have a space outside. It's not as needed as much as having a path to get to his trees from the outer field from the Meicha's field to his trees. Rabbi Zayd, so the Gemara learns a din from Rabbi Lazar. From the words of Rabbi Lazar that he explained, that he said the reason why Lekech is not kind of the pathway, because obviously he's somebody who sells his bayin raw. Zog the Gemara, Rabbi Zayd. Rabbi Zayd said, from the words from Rabbi Lazar, we see the Fedish that the path is not kind of because he holds we learn Dafke by Lekeach, who has 3 Ilanes, who has when he has 3 Ilanes, he's kind of the kaka with the Ilanes, which is not part of the Meicha's field, and now he wants a path. That's where we say he has no derech Hoshnayim. But if he bought 2 Ilanes, if he only bought 2 trees out of the field of his friend, yes, he does get a path to go to his Ilanes. Why? What's the difference if he has 3 Ilanes? So 2 Ilanes, double, because he could say to the Meicha, "Ba'ara didik didach kaimi." These trees that you sold me are standing in these trees that you. He says to the Meicha, "These trees that you sold me is in your karka." When he buys only 2 trees, he didn't give him the karka. Obviously, he lent him the space to be able to use the area for the needs of the tree. Part of that space that he gave him is also to be able to collect with a basket the paydays. But when he buys 3 ilanes, he has his own karka. He never rented any. He never got any rights from the karka of the meicha. So for him to get rights from the karka of the meicha, he has to buy it. There, by 2 ilanes, he gave him already the rights to use the tree on his karka. So if he gave him already the rights to use it on his karka, he obviously gave him the right to be able to go with a basket to collect the paydays. But by 3 trees, where he never gave, the meicha never gave anything of his karka. All the trees, by when he buys 3 trees, the karka belongs to the lekeach. So therefore, we don't see anywhere where he gave him anything, where the meicha gave him anything to use. So now, if he wants to use the meicha, he has to buy from the meicha, a path to get to it. Should we say Rabbi Lezer does not hold like Shmuel, his Rebbe, that Shmuel said that Allah is like Rabbi Akiva, one who sells with ayin yafam. So, and here we said somebody who buys 3 ilanes from his friend, according to Rabbi Lezer, we said he's not koined together with the path, but according to Rabbi Akiva, he would be koined with the path, because so you see Shmuel, who was a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva, doesn't hold like his Rabbi. Rabbi Lezer doesn't hold like Shmuel, I'm sorry, Rabbi Lezer doesn't hold like Shmuel, who says that was like Rabbi Akiva, that he's automatically kind of the path. For Rabbi Lezer said, by 3 trees, he's not kind of the path. So Rabbi said back to Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Yitzchak, really, Rabbi Lezer doesn't argue on his Rabbi Shmuel. Rather, he holds like Rabbi Akiva, and he's talking kind of the path with it. And the Kasha on Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lezer was that said, Akina Shleishi Lanes, he wasn't kind of the path, is like the Shita of the Chachamim. Because Leiba took Mamasnis and Rabbi Akiva, because this Mishnah cannot come out according to like Rabbi Akiva. It could only come out like the Shita of the Chachamim. Mimai, how do we know that it could only come out like the Shita of the Chachamim? Midiktani, look at what the Tana learned in the Mishnah. But again, it says it says if the Ilan is spread out so much that it's covering the Meicha's ground and it's doing damage to him, so it says over there the Meicha cut the branches of this tree that are sticking over in his field if he only bought 1 or 2 trees. And if it's going to enter your mind, Rabbi Akiva here, the follows Rabbi Akiva, why should the Meicha be allowed to cut the branches of the tree that sticks over that spreads out over the Meicha's karka? Rabbi Akiva says, that the Balakaka who sells the Ilanis, he sells those to the schus, that the Amfei Ilanis should be able to spread over the field of the Meicha. So Rav Nachman Rabbi Yitzchak said, no, it's Nishkirai. Ema say Rabbi Akiva. When did Rabbi Akiva say Meicha? Gabe Beirvadus, by a pit or cistern. In such a case, like Machshiara, these are items that don't weaken the karka. And since it doesn't weaken the karka, we'll say that the Meicha sold B'ayin Yafa, and he was marketing to him the pit and the cistern, the path going to the pit and the cistern. But by a tree which weakens weakens the karka and the branches that cover over the area of the Meicha's field. The branch of the tree of the lekeach that covers over the Meicha's field is holding back from growing normally, and it also holds back from the plow to be able to go through. Did Rabbi Akiva paskin over there Meicha, where the Meicha is going to lose on his behalf when he does it by Yafa? Surely not. Milay made Rabbi Akiva. Then is Rabbi Akiva not made by a tree that's bent over into the field of his friend. That Shekoit says that the Baal Hasada, the owner of the field, could cut the shear that's needed to the height of the goat, of the plow to the height of the goat, which is and the oxen to pull it. Surely Rabbi Akiva is made to that he could cut down, the Baal HaSoda could cut it down. So just like there, the Baal HaSoda, the Meicha could cut down these trees for to be able to be Chedesh. So therefore, in our case also, by Higdilu, where his branches grew and spread over the Meicha's area, our Mishnah could be according to Rabbi Akiva, that even if you're Meicha, but not when it's harming the Meicha. And Yivana brings that ayah now to the words of Rabbi Chiba Rabbi Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that one who buys 3 trees, he's kaina also the outside of the trees, then the amount that's needed to go around with a basket to be able to pick the paydays. Like Rabbi Chiba Rabbi Abba, we learned in like Rabbi Chiba Rabbi Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the lakeach who buys 3 ilanis in the field of his friend, kana, he's kaina tachtayim, beneath the trees, ubenayim, and between the trees. And outside the trees, enough space for a basket to be able to be melaked the paydays. Okay, so the Gemara now brings this a shiloh over here. That space that he's given to be able to go with a basket to collect paydays, that the lekech has the right to collect the paydays. Does he also have the right? Is the karka so much his it's not just for to have access, but he could plant their seeds, or maybe no, he's only given the place to be able to be malak the paydays of his trees, but the schus to plant belongs to the balasada. Amalei have answered Nisu. We learned this already. This did in the Mishnah on Tzadik Tes about two gardens, one within the other, and the balagina, the inner balagina, the inner garden has a right, has a schus to go through the outer garden to go to the inner garden. So in that path, who has the right to plant in that path, even though the inner garden has the right to use the path, but who has the right to plant the seeds? So it says only the outer one, the outer garden. Could you then compare to the path of the Gina? The buyer is not losing anything if the outer one is seeding and planting seeds, because he only needs it to get there, and the owner of the outer field doesn't mind that he tramples over the seeds, but the Lekeach is not losing anything. But over here, when he gives him this space to be able to use a basket to collect the paydas, it's like Pseudo Lekeach. There's a Pseudo for the Lekeach, because the Amalei, the Lekeach of the Ilanis can say to the Balasada, Kamitan fe payda. My paydas, when they fall off, they'll fall off on your seeds, which is filled with mud and the dirt for the seeds, and the paydas will become dirty. So the Lekeach is losing by the Meicha planting their seeds. So rather, this case is only compared to the Sefer, where there are two Baliginas that came to Bezdin, and they gave the right for the inner garden to go, but not in the middle of the outer garden, but on the outskirts, at the edge of the outer garden, to get to a roundabout way, to get to his garden. And in that path, and we paskin, both are not allowed to see there. The outer one cannot, because it's going to damage the inner one. The inner one, he only had a reshus for access, not that it should be his to plant. Tanya Kavaseda Abaya says, we learned in the like the words of Abaya, that a Lekech who buys trees in the field of his friend, Kana Tachtayim Benayim, he was kind of the kaka beneath the trees, between the trees, and outside the trees, the amount of space to be able to go with a basket to pick the paydas. And now here comes the punchline: and not the Meicha nor the Lekeach are permitted to plant this karka in this karka where he gave him the space to be able to use a basket to be able to pick the paydays.